Thanks for joining us on episode 1561 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Abigail Davidson. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the ability to recognize that God is your business partner is key. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend Scott Mater. Show up with joy and happiness, and you're able to live more freely because you're doing something out of the pureness of your heart, and you show up happy. So it just easily attracts new clients to you because you're showing up with passion, and it's a much more fluid relationship in the tangible reality.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's podcast episode, I interview Abigail Davidson. I ask Abigail about how faith, finances, and business are related. I also ask Abigail about aligning your business with your core values. And Abigail also shares the power of community in sustainable growth. I have a great book that's been out for a while now called Inspired Living. Assemble the puzzle of your calling by mastering your time, your talent, and your treasures. You can find out more about that book over at inspiredlivingbook.com. It'll take you to a page where there's information and you can sign up to get some mailings about it as well as purchase a copy there. I'd love to see you get a copy and share with me how it impacted your world. Abigail Davidson is a financial strategist, business incubator, and founder of the Aligned Entrepreneurs Club, a powerful community for women entrepreneurs seeking support, strategy, and scalable success. As a spiritual CFO, Abigail blends soulful money management with practical business growth, helping visionary founders move from chaos to clarity with aligned financial strategy. With a passion for business incubation, she empowers entrepreneurs to build wealth, scale consciously, and create impact without burnout. Whether through accounting, business coaching, or high-vibe community building, Abigail is on a mission to help entrepreneurs break through limiting beliefs and turn aligned action into abundant success. Welcome to the show, Abigail.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I shared a little bit in the intro of some of your journey, some of the things you do, some of the work you've done. But at the same time, I know that intros just show part of our journey. They never really show the whole thing. So take us back in time and unpack a little bit. What has your journey been like? Why is this the message and the work that you're called to do?
So I started my own business, my own accounting business about 10 years ago. And I deal with a lot of business owners, obviously. And just through the experience of being an entrepreneur on my own and supporting other entrepreneurs, there's a clear theme that people feel really alone. It gets overwhelming and they just need community around them. So I actually stepped outside of my comfort zone, put myself around a bunch of women and traveled to a foreign land, and I just got a download that this is something I need to create for people beyond my immediate community.
Why do you feel like you were the one kind of driven to create that community? What did it come out of your own personal experience, or just what you were talking to the other business owners, or both? Or how did this idea come to you?
God gave it to me. If I'm going to be very honest with you, you quiet your mind and you listen for what's next for me. And I love the accounting. I love the data. I'm truly passionate about it. but there was just something missing in my life in general. And sometimes you got to slow down and open your mind to what answers are coming to you from above. And so it wasn't my idea. It was chosen for me, I honestly would say.
So unpack that a little bit more. One of the things I like to highlight on the podcast is that intersection between our faith journey and our relationship with God, and then our own personal life journey and how that unpacks. So again, take us back in time and kind of talk about where you were and how did you come to realizing that this was what God was putting on your heart?
Yeah, I spent a lot of my life not directly aligned with God. So I had taken my own path and was really defiant, I would say, against the, like, just, if I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit arrogant in my spiritual practice. I don't need this. And I was going through some real hardship in the last few years personally with relationships, and I tried everything. I tried therapy, I had tried physical activity and focusing on my work, and it wasn't making any impact. And I just I had a strong relationship with God as a child, and it just came back to me, and the answer was very clear. Spend more time with God, start going back to church, get reacquainted with that relationship, and put yourself in a committed relationship with God. And it just propelled me to show up with confidence and utter clarity. And you don't really second guess when you get a message from God that you need to do something, especially if you're like really committed to your faith and you're showing up for it repeatedly. You do what you're told. And you do it with confidence that it's not going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not me driving the wheel here. And I made a commitment to that. God is my business partner. God is my life partner, first and foremost. And that changed everything. It changed everything.
When you think about that, one of the questions that I've had people ask is, how do you know that it's a calling from God versus, quote, last night's pizza or your own desires, and you're kind of stamping that with, oh, this must be what God wants me to do. What for you gave you the clarity that you felt like this was really something you were called to do?
That's such a good question. It was the lack of fear, really. And even if it fails, doesn't matter. It just was you're not going to fail. There's no fear behind it. And so what if it doesn't become like a multi-million-dollar idea? The basis behind it is giving to a community that needs support. And it's not money driven. It's not success driven. It's just pure love in my heart driven.
Money is one of those things that you mentioned earlier. As an accountant, you love the data, you love the numbers, that kind of thing. And a lot of times people think about money as very black and white, very practical, very materialistic. And yet I would argue there's a spiritual side to money as well. How do you see the spiritual side of money playing out with yourself and with your clients, your approach to it in community?
It's funny because I see that spiritual element as very black and white thing. When you are open and ready to receive, money is a tool in which you can provide or give, or it gives you the ability to give back more confidently and more freely. And it becomes less about the money, but ultimately more money is available to you because you're doing what's right rather than out of the desperate need to collect the cash.
And what changes when people begin to include that part of looking at their money relationship?
Everything. And when I say everything, I guess like the foundation in which you show up. So you show up with joy and happiness, and you're able to live more freely because you're doing something out of the pureness of your heart and you show up happy. So it just easily attracts new clients to you because you're showing up with passion, and it's a much more fluid relationship in the tangible reality. Things flow easily.
So talk a little bit about your community. What did you, as you began to lean into, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, what did it look like? What does it look like now? What are you creating?
So the membership is launching in May. So right now I'm still in the marketing phases, and I do have some master classes prepared I'm really excited about. But while I'm waiting for that to fully launch, I am hosting weekly networking events online. I'm very rural in rural Maine, so my immediate community is more or less non-existent. So online is where it's at for me. And we just have the most amazing conversations every week. And it's not about everyone that's showing up there. It's really a beautiful thing that is being developed. Rarely are we having people show up just to pitch and drive a sale or push their product. They're showing up authentically as themselves, and we're having intimate conversations about spiritual alignment in your business practices. And we're really getting to know one another on a personal level. And the relationships are building from there. And I think we actually talk about this quite often because I have quite a few people who come back every week. The relationships we're building are going to last a long time because they're built on the personal relationship rather than your elevator pitch and, oh, you've got something I need, let me buy or let me sell. There's none of that going on. It's a, hi, I am so and so from this place, and this is what I do. And then last night we talked about, I like to take a really spiritual approach to the conversation, and I try to reach a wide range of spiritual practices. So the conversation was on quantum leaping and where is there evidence that you've already made a quantum leap in your life? So just making that concept more come closer to home, and it turns into someone might need a little bit of advice or how do you handle this sort of difficult situation? And it just really morphs into a beautiful conversation, and we all get super excited and it's hard to get off the call.
So what role do you see community playing in business growth and business success?
When I was doing it alone, I would say, I don't need community. You know, whatever, I can live out here isolated and still keep on pressing. But as soon as I started to put the right community around me, for one, I was less afraid to make those scary decisions because I have people who are going to be supportive of it no matter what. That's really the biggest thing is when you have the wrong people around you, and that can be family and friends that you've known your whole life. They might say, oh, you shouldn't have your own business. That's too hard. Or you're really going to struggle. Or how are you going to be successful? And I had a lot of that. And I'm approaching my 10-year anniversary, and my family is finally like realizing that this is a legitimate source of income for me. So having people around you that already are making decisions like that, they're going to support you in your crazy ideas. And they'll give you feedback on how you might be able to set up a better foundation under you or approach difficult. It's great to have people to go to that understand.
So what are some of the biggest problems that you've seen people coming to your community and dealing with? What are some of the challenges that they face that kind of show up over and over again?
Disrespectful clients or prospects is a very common theme. Almost every meeting, someone will say, I have this client that just doesn't understand what I offer, or they didn't show up to a meeting that we set in person and they showed up 2 days later and asked me to be there when they were already at a Starbucks when we were supposed to meet 2 days ago. And I think this has happened to probably everybody who has some sort of service-based business where I think in retailer sales, they call them tire kickers. But more than that, it's an utter lack of respect for your time. And then that's setting a precedent that they're not going to respect you once they become a client. And we had someone last night who she's just starting her own bookkeeping business. And she's the one that had the Starbucks meeting on a Monday, and the guy showed up on Wednesday, knowing it was on Monday, and said, I'll be there in 10 minutes, didn't show up, showed up 2 days later. And she's just starting out. And so part of her wants to give the guy the opportunity. And I think 5 or 6 of us were just silently shaking our heads in the background. Absolutely, no matter where you're at in your business, never be so desperate as to take someone who has no respect for your time, because that's going to snowball into no respect for your invoice that you send, and they won't pay it, or they'll pay it in 60 days. It's just not a healthy foundation to start off on. And if you set the intention early on that I want these specific clients who are going to respect my time, you'll find them. You just have to be patient and really know what your expectations are.
Yeah, setting those boundaries up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a few questions that I like to ask all of my guests, but before I ask those, is there anything else about your community or the work that you do that you'd like to share with the listener?
The community is really what my passion is right now. So obviously I offer accounting services, and I do truly love it. And everybody's welcome to work with me in that regard. The membership is launching in May. My first masterclass is on becoming iconic, which is really just the foundation of making those decisions with confidence and doing it repeatedly. The first one will be sometime in mid-May. So that's what I'm most excited about right now.
So my brand is Inspired Stewardship, but I run things through that lens of stewardship. And yet at the same time, I know stewardship is one of those words that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So for you, what does the word stewardship mean to you?
Showing up in general, genuinely offering to help someone else. And it doesn't need to have a cost associated with it. So I think for me, my consistent stewardship is the weekly networking event. I can't say don't gain anything out of it, because I absolutely do. I am gaining the most incredible contacts and connections with people, but all of us as a community are just contributing to one another. And yeah, I think just giving as much as you can without expecting anything in return.
So this is my favorite question that I like to ask everybody. Imagine for a moment that I could invent this magic machine. And with this machine, I could take you from where you are today and transport you into the future, maybe 150, maybe 250 years. And through the power of this machine, you were able to look back and see your entire life, see all of the ripples, all of the connections, all of the impacts you've left. What impact do you hope you've left in the world?
This is an incredible question. It's giving me goosebumps because I'm already seeing it. I really just want to give people the confidence to start the business and offer them any resources that I can to do that in confidence. Yeah, that sums it up. I just want people to look back and say, she helped all of these people follow their dream.
So you mentioned the membership opening back in May. What's coming next as you finish out this year and continue on your journey?
I have been hosting some online retreats annually, and I really, truly wanted to do them in person. I live in an old farmhouse, and the home needed a lot of work, and that's been a big part of my why. And since starting the membership and the community, I'm thinking that hosting retreats in person is actually going to become a real thing. I think 2026 is going to be the first in-person retreat in September. Thank you
Awesome.
for asking that.
And you can find out more about Abigail Davidson over at oldwoods.co.co. Of course, I'll have a link to that over in the show notes as well. Abigail, anything else you'd like to share with the listener?
Just the Aligned Entrepreneur Club is launching in May. Join the community.
Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor. Go over to inspiredstewardship.com/iTunes rate, all one word, iTunes rate. It'll take you through how to leave a rating and review and how to make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you can get every episode as it comes out in your feed. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.